Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's been ages, it's been like forever since I last recorded a video. It actually feels really nice to, be able to record a video for you guys. Have been planning to do this forever, but it's just been super occupied with a lot of things. So, if you're new, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, again, also welcome back to this channel. My name is Kay. I am an internationally trained lawyer based here in Calgary, Canada. Uh, this channel, I basically share information about things within the legal community, helping you successfully navigate your transitioning from being an internationally trained lawyer to becoming someone who is licensed to practice law here in Canada. Um, and I have a number of videos that I've already put out. One, I'm talking about the NCA process, how to go about your registration, what you need to do. And secondly, about the summer recruitment period and season. I would strongly recommend that you go back, watch those videos, and see if most of the questions you have been answered. And if you still have further questions, I'm always happy to take further questions. Um, Via my social media channels, or even if you leave a comment here in the comment section, I would always go through all of these questions and answer as much as I can. Also important for you to know that nothing I say here constitutes legal advice. I'm just sharing my experience with you and telling you how you can successfully navigate your transition to the Canadian legal system. That said, today's video, um, the plan today is to talk about how to apply for articling positions. As many of you know, a number of firms will be opening up for articling in May. Most firms are opening up on May 13, especially in Alberta. Some other firms are opening up in Ontario from May 21st. So it's just important for you to have the right strategies for you to, know how to navigate, how to successfully make a successful application, the do's, the don'ts, what that process may entail, and how best to put your best foot forward, especially as internationally trained lawyer. I think the most important question for you to ask yourself is, what is articling? Why should you be applying to an articling position? Um, if there are certain things that just say, for instance, you're new in Canada, you've not done your NCAs, should you be applying to an articling position? Or if you're currently writing your NCA, should you be writing? Should you be applying for an articling position? Or if you're even outside Canada, should you be applying for an articling position? So many questions that you may have that require a lot of answers. And the simple answer to many of these questions would be it depends. It's just the truth. So the first question many people ask, and I've answered this question tons number, a lot of times, would be, if I am new in Canada and I've not done my NCAs, should I be applying to an articling position when it comes out on VRecruit? The answer is it depends. But the most straightforward answer would be yes. And this is why. Many of the articling positions that open up, or let me backtrack. It's important for you to understand how the recruitment season works, how law firms pick their summer students or even their articling students during this regulated recruitment season. It is regulated because everything they do during this period is regulated by the Law Society. So the Law Society of Ontario, the Law Society of Alberta, Law Society of Saskatchewan, whatever province you're residing at, the entire recruitment process for a summer student or even an articling student is regulated by the society. So it is important that you understand how this works and for you to know that um, there are certain things that could influence how this application season will go. So, to specifically answer that question, whether uh, an internationally trained lawyer who has just relocated to Canada, who hasn't completed the NCA exams, should be applying to an articling position, I would say the answer is yes and no. First is that generally the recruitment season is for the following year. So, for instance, the articling applications that will open up on May 13, and in Calgary, for instance, May 13 to May 21st, is not for those who would resume the articling position this year. So, ideally, the way the Law Society regulates is that they take applications now for 2025. So if you, for instance, go to the ViLaw Portal, and I've explained and mentioned how to set up your profile on ViLaw Portal in one of my previous videos. I will link it in the description box. Please check it out. In that video, and laid out the entire process. Now, if you check the VLAW portal, it will show you the articling for 2025 to 2026. So what that means is that if you apply to an articling position now and you are able to secure a position, you have between now until you resume for articling, very likely in the summer or fall of 2025. So it's like June to September of 2025 to complete your NCA accreditation. So if you think about it that way, it means that yes, you can actually apply to an articling position. You also have to remember that one of the reasons why we have a separate articling uh, application window is also because many students may not have gotten articling positions from their summer applications. They may have not secured a summer position, so they couldn't get into a firm. And so the articling up window is open for them to make an application and then possibly get hired to do their articling the following year, just when they're finishing their 3L. But for you as an internationally trained lawyer, you can then make an application, and if your application is fantastic, if your culture fits with the firm, if the firm is really interested in you, you can then get an offer to resume your article in the following year. That gives you that window of 1 year to take all your NCA examinations and for if you have the legal research and writing course to do to get that done and immediately be ready to article. So if you ask the question, in that sense, it would make sense that you could apply to an articling position even though you have not completed your NCAs. On the other hand, is that while the law societies would, while this is regulated by the law society and people are allowed, the recruitment is actually for the following year, a lot of law societies, and I know Alberta has this exception where the calendar, the recruitment calendar really does not apply to internationally trained lawyers. So what do I mean? It's that even though the law society says you can only hire articling students between this period and this period, offer letters can only go out between this period and this period, or the position you're hiring for, they can only resume for that position within this period and this period. An exception has been created for internationally trained lawyers. And this is because the Law Society, especially that of Alberta, recognizes that internationally trained lawyers are in a unique situation where they could be ready for articling at any point in time. So, in the instance where you make an application and you're successful for articling and you're successful to a firm that is able to work around their own calendar, and they are willing to grant you or to exercise that exception that the law society has given, you may be required to resume in that year. So for instance, in this 2024 application, if the firm is willing to create an exception for you or to follow the exception already created by the law society, it means you could, for instance, be asked to resume your articling in September of 2024. And so that puts you in that situation where if you have not yet completed your NTA examinations or the legal research and writing, you may not want to apply if you don't think you'll be able to complete before September or whenever they ask you to resume. But again, if you, and I think about it this way, that if you have a firm that is willing to make this concession for you, it means that they are open to conversations. So you could have conversations where you're able to arrange a flexible resumption time. Now, the number of firms that will be willing to grant you that exception, I don't know. The number of firms that will be willing to immediately take you or that may have space on their articling slot, I don't know. I cannot speak to that. But you will never know if you don't make an application. So, what I always suggest is make the application regardless. Put in your best foot forward. If you don't get an offer, what you will learn is how to tackle the recruitment process. What you will learn is how to put yourself out there more. What you will learn is how to position yourself as a culture fit for these organizations. So I think it's essential that you get this out of the way that if you're new in Canada and you're just about to start your NCA process, nothing stops you from making an application for articling as soon as it opens. You don't know how much the firm may value the international experience you're coming with, or you don't even know the current transactions they are working on. That looking through your resume, they may see something that is of significant value and may want you to immediately join the team. And there's just so many other things regarding it. So my best bet, my best advice would always be make an application, make your application as strong as possible. If you're fortunate to secure an offer, excellent. But in the unfortunate event that you do not secure an offer, you know exactly what to do for the next time you are making an application. So either for the 12 recruits that usually opens in July and closes in August, or even for the next cycle of articling applications. The second question I also always get, and this is probably the second most popular question, which is like, for folks who are outside Canada but are planning to move to Canada, planning to come to Canada, whether or not they can apply for articling positions. And you have to understand, some may have even completed their NCA exams outside Canada. And of course, because the exam is remote, the NCA allows you to be able to take the examinations from anywhere in the world. So you may have completed your NCA examinations, or even in the case of what I just spoke about, you may have not even done it. But because you know that this application is for your resumption the following year, whether you can make an application. Again, the answer to this is it depends. And this would take me to explaining a little bit about how the entire recruitment season works. So, which ultimately will lead to the answer yes or no, or probably yes and no, which is what I think my answer will be. The first part is that when these firms open up on ViLaw Portal for applications, you usually have about a week window, or sometimes 2 weeks, to submit your application. When you submit your application, there is like a blackout period where you're not hearing from the firm. It's about a week or two thereabout, and then firms start to schedule interviews. So you start to have interviews with the firms. You start to have one or two stages of interviews. Maybe you're meeting with associates the first time, and the second time you're now meeting with either partners or senior associates, or it could even be the other way around. That part is good. It could be virtual. However, because a lot of firms right now, they're trying to encourage people coming back into the office, you usually have that one or two stages of the interview process will be in person. So some firms may absolutely want everything to be done virtually, while some may want everything to be done in person, and some are able to do a hybrid. And for those that want some of that part to be done in person, I would say that in the event that you're not able to attend, they always leave that window, or at least most firms give the opportunity for you to request a virtual meeting if you're unable to make it to the office for an in-person interview. It's dicey again whether or not that will put you as a strong candidate when there are other candidates who are able to attend in person. They're able to connect with a lot more. They're able to examine their personality in person, and they're able to also have very good interaction. Another stage of that process would usually entail some sort of social event, some networking or social event. So usually a cocktail, it could be a coffee, it could be any other thing. And so that comes to that place where you may be disadvantaged if you're outside Canada. So if you think about it that way, um, if you think about it that way, it could potentially limit your chances if you're outside Canada and you're applying for an articling position. However, again, my position is always you lose nothing by trying. You never know the firm who they're able to take all of this remotely, especially if you know that you would have relocated to Canada within the period before the resumption for that articling position. So put your best foot forward, make the application, and you'll see what comes out of it. Now, this is the third question I'm going to really talk about is probably the one I've been getting a lot more of this quite recently, um, and it's kind of important for me to address it, and that is whether an articling position would qualify, as what you can use to make an application for like a work permit, LMIA, and all of that stuff. While I'm not an immigration lawyer and I am not giving immigration advice, my faint understanding is that an article position will not be what you can use to secure immigration points. Say you were applying for your express entry. I stand to be corrected by immigration lawyers, and I'm not making a categorical statement here. But for every articling offer I have seen that was presented to internationally trained lawyers, one of the conditions that comes with it is that you provide the the HR proof of your right to work in Canada. So either your permanent resident status, your Canadian citizenship, or your work permit. So it is very unlikely that that is a letter that you can submit, to say you have LMIA. Plus, uh, there are more than enough people within Canada with legal students who are looking for article positions that a firm will then make an application for a labor market impact assessment exemption for them to bring you from whatever country you're coming into Canada from, just for articling. So, in terms of using it as a way to get immigration points, I strongly do not think that that would fly. So if you're someone who does not have your Canadian status yet, or either permanent residency or something, an article position is not what you want to secure for you to get more points or to be able to use that to come in. Again, this is not immigration advice. I am speaking based off of my own opinion. If you're in this position, I would always recommend that you speak with an immigration attorney so they can guide you properly and tell you exactly what you need to do or even how this may apply to you. Also, I have also seen those who, for instance, came into Canada as students or um, you're an educational institution, you don't have a full work permit that allows you to work for limited hours and all of that. An advice I always give is that if you come in as a student and you know you'll be applying to an article position, try as much as possible to quickly complete within still doing good work anyway, to quickly complete your academic activities so you can be done with the school portion of your program, and at that point be able to apply for a postgrad work permit so that you have full work rights for you to take on the articling position. Otherwise, if you are restricted to 20-25 hours of work per week, or you can't work all through the year, you definitely would not be able to legally take up your articling position. So you want to ensure that you clear out every legal impediment in your way before making an articling position, before taking up an articling position. But if you know that you'll be able to complete all of those legal impediments and be free and able to take up your position fully before the resumption date, by all means, please make an application and go forward. Now, to the next important point of articling itself. On May 13, 2024 to May 21, 2024, articling positions will open up in Calgary. I had a quick look at the ViLaw Portal and I see that 9 firms will be open for articling positions. In Edmonton, it's also within the same period, May 13 to May 21. 10 firms are going to be open. On the same May 13, but to May 28, about 13 firms will be open in Ottawa. So you also want to put that into consideration if you live in Ottawa or if you don't mind moving to Ottawa. In Toronto, the applications will open on May 21st and it will close on June 28th. A total of 36 offices will be accepting applications. And in Vancouver, 5 offices will be accepting applications during that period. Now, this is an extremely stressful period. What's my first advice to anybody looking to make this application is, as an internationally trained lawyer, you want to try to, one, before this opens up on Monday, May 13, set up your profile on VRecruit and the ViLaw Portal. Set up your profile, be ready and willing that as soon as the applications open on that Monday, before the end of Monday, you've applied to almost all the firms you're interested in. Why is this important? While some firms will take applications, will review applications on a rolling basis, some may wait till the end of the circle to collate everything and then start reaching out to applicants who they are moving on to the next stage. So being ready and being able to apply on the first day, especially as an internationally trained lawyer, helps the firm. And sometimes the firms have the quota of how many ITLs they're going to invite. So if they have the quota and you put in your application as quickly as possible, that could potentially help you. And I've seen this happen a lot of times. Also, some other firms may have internal deadlines where they want to review applications from internationally trained lawyers. So if you don't make your application as quickly as possible, you may be setting up yourself, you're putting yourself in a disadvantageous position. So my advice would always be make your application as quickly as possible. Secondly, is that if you also watch my video on how to make a successful application for a 12 position, I reiterated other things that you can do, how you can prepare for your interview. But the key piece of this is in making your application, ask yourself, are you putting your best foot forward? How are you amplifying your international experience? And this is what I've seen when I'm speaking with a lot of internationally trained lawyers who are making these applications either for articling or even for summer positions. There is the temptation to be modest, the temptation to not want to put all of your accomplishments, all of your everything that you've done out there, thinking that the firm may not value what you're presenting. But that is incorrect. As a matter of fact, the firms value what you're presenting, they value the experience you're bringing, and they really, really want to hear from you. Like I mentioned, sometimes you don't even know the projects that the firm they're working on where your experience will be valuable. So imagine an internationally trained lawyer from Nigeria who has done some work in the oil and gas industry, but you are downplaying your experience, you're downplaying your accomplishments in your resume. But unknown to you, the firm is actually assisting a client in Nigeria on some oil and gas issues. You will put yourself at a disadvantage. In fact, you have shot yourself in the foot if you didn't put that experience in your resume. So never feel shy to express what you've done and be able to defend it. Secondly, is that at all times you want to present yourself as not just someone who is absolutely dedicated only to the work. Um, a vital part of Canadian culture is that they want to see other things that matter to you, family values, the fact that you're a pleasurable person to work with. People can feel free around you. You're not so uptight. So you want to make sure that in as much as you're showing yourself out there, strongly in your work ethics, in your knowledge, you're also presenting a social side to you. And this is exactly why almost all Canadian law recruitment activity would have some social events, drinks, cocktail, coffee, something. They really want to see how you're going to interact with other people. Now, one of the things mistakes I've seen many people do is that they go to these events and they are stuck up. Either they are stuck up or they come off too strongly. So times you're there, everybody's talking about something interesting, about some sporting event, about some vacation, about some musical concert that is happening in the city, and all you're talking about is work, 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 or some serious stuff. They will view you as being stuck up. On the other hand, is you're having a conversation, with a group of people, and you're always domineering, you know, you need to find a balance between not being too quiet and not being the overly loud one. Where you are the overly loud one, you'll come off as domineering. And then when you are too quiet, you come off as someone lacking in confidence. So a balance is necessary. Make sure that you're able to put out your own thoughts and ideas in a clear, logical way without making anyone feel less of themselves. This is a very important strategy, a very important thing to think about, a very important way to present yourself. And most importantly, is that for everyone you talk to, either at the interview or at any of the social events, ensure that everybody can leave that session remembering something about you. So if they don't remember anything about you, that is a problem. Because when they go back to deliberate on the people they'll be progressing to the next stage or eventually extending an offer to, they need to be able to remember that you said something, this person presented this, and this person sounded like this. That's important. And most importantly, talk to people. One of the things I have seen is that a lot of people who are in this process, they are not having conversations with people. They are trying to run everything all by themselves. You will be in a very difficult position if you're not able to share your ideas with people, do mock interviews, let them tell you what they know about each of these firms. A lot of the things you need to know about different firms, you will find scanty information online. You will find general information online. But some of the extra things, extra strategies that you need to impress a little bit more or to be a lot more personal with whoever is interviewing you, you will not find online. It will be in the interactions you have with people who either know these persons or who know these firms, knows what a particular firm is looking out for, that will come off, strongly to you. So, for instance, you may not know that a particular firm is so heavy on personal injury law. So imagine that you go to that firm and you have a lot of experience in personal injury law from Nigeria, and you're just talking about banking and finance or energy. You will not be able to strongly communicate that. Or a firm where basically they do indigenous law or energy law, and then you're just there talking about litigation. So talking with people, sharing your experiences with them, and listening to the feedback they give you is very important. And most importantly, as much as you can before the interview date, try to network. Go on the LinkedIn profile of different associates and senior associates working at these firms. Connect with people. See the ones you can form a good relationship with before even your application, so you can, if possible, name drop them in the rest in your application, or the ones that are willing to put out a word for you, put in a word for you within the firm. Do everything possible, everything within acceptable limits, right? Within acceptable limits. Obviously, members of the recruitment committee during this period will not be accessible to you in terms of conversations outside of the workplace, obviously, because they need to prevent any appearance of bias. But just being free, people within the office talking positively about you, either someone met you for coffee or you met somebody at an event, comes in very handy, comes in as a big advantage to you. So I'd easily recommend that you try as much as possible to network, talk to people, put yourself out there. Never be shy to share your opinion during the interview. Have rock solid questions that will make the interviewers know that this is an excellent candidate. So think about it, that if someone were to ask you the question you were planning to ask the interviewers, how would you perceive the person asking you that same question? So if the question does not sound intelligent, smart, or even portraying you in a good light, you may want to tweak it a little bit. That's one side. Two is be critical. Think about how everything you're saying appears. What impact would it make? If it's going to make really solid impact, then you know what? Go for it. But most importantly, be confident. Be confident. And if you're able to secure an offer, excellent. In subsequent videos, I probably share tips on how to prepare for an article resumption, things to do, how to you know the type of outfits and all of that. But this video is already getting too long. I do not intend for my return video to be this long, so I'll just wrap it up here. Again, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you've picked up one or two lessons. I hope that you made the best of this application season and that you're able to secure an offer, and that everything works out for you eventually. So thank you so much. It's really lovely doing this again. Please remember to like, share to everybody. Share this, send this to everybody that will be making an application in this recruitment season. um Leave a comment. I'm always happy to read from everybody. If you have questions, just leave it in the comment section. I will uh, go through everything. If you want to check me out on my socials and you have questions and you want to discuss things with me, I'm always happy to respond. I'll link all of my socials in the description box below. And until the next time, take care and be good.